Welcome to our channel, where AI crafted tales await. Join us daily for a new adventure filled with twists, excitement, and endless possibilities. Sit back, relax, and let AI transport you to a world of story magic. The journey begins now. The detective who tried to save her. Lilith was a young woman who lived in a small town on the outskirts of the city. She was known for her beauty, her mysterious allure, and her sparkling personality. She was the kind of woman who could light up a room with her smile, and she had a way of making people feel special just by talking to them. People in the town were drawn to her, and she was loved by everyone who knew her. But one fateful night, everything changed. Lilith was in a terrible fire that completely destroyed her home. The fire was so intense that it burned her face beyond recognition and left her with deep scars and bruises all over her body. She was taken to the hospital and underwent multiple surgeries to try and save her life, but the damage was too severe. Lilith was never the same after the fire. The once beautiful and sparkling young woman was now a shell of her former self. The pain of the fire and the surgeries had driven her to the brink of madness, and she was consumed by a deep anger and hatred for the world. She became a deranged serial killer, terrorizing the local community with her frightening appearance and violent acts. Her once beautiful face was now a grotesque mask of scars and bruises, and her once sparkling eyes were now cold and empty. People were afraid of her, and they stayed away from her whenever they saw her coming. The town was in a state of panic, and the police were working around the clock to try and catch her. But she was cunning and elusive, and she always managed to slip away whenever they got close. They had no leads and no idea who she was or what she was after. The situation was made even worse by the fact that Lilith had a personal vendetta against the police. She blamed them for not saving her from the fire, and she was determined to make them pay for their failure. She started targeting the police and their families, and she left a trail of bodies in her wake. The police were desperate to catch her, but they were also afraid. They had never seen anything like her before, and they didn't know how to stop her. They called in the FBI to help, but even they were stumped by the strange and mysterious case. The situation continued to escalate, and the town was in a state of terror. People were afraid to leave their homes, and the police were patrolling the streets day and night. The FBI had set up a command center, and they were working around the clock to try and find Lilith. One night, a young detective named Sarah was assigned to the case. She was a seasoned veteran, and she had seen everything the city had to offer. But even she was scared of Lilith. She had heard the stories of her violence and her craziness, and she was afraid of what she might do if she ever caught up with her. Sarah was determined to catch Lilith, but she also knew that she had to be careful. She started following the trail of bodies and trying to piece together what had happened to Lilith. She talked to people who knew her and tried to get a better understanding of what had driven her to madness. As Sarah dug deeper into the case, she started to uncover some disturbing truths. She found out that Lilith had been in the fire because of her abusive husband, and that the police had failed to save her because they were too busy with other things. She also found out that Lilith's husband was still alive, and that he was the one who had started the fire. Sarah was shocked by what she had found out, and she was determined to bring Lilith's husband to justice. She set up a trap for him, and when he finally showed up, she was ready. She confronted him and arrested him, but Lilith was nowhere to be found. Sarah was starting to think that Lilith might have already left town, but she was wrong. The next day, Sarah received a call from a local gas station. They had seen Lilith, and she was acting strange. Sarah rushed to the scene, and when she got there, she saw Lilith holding a gas station attendant hostage. Lilith was ranting and raving, and she was covered in blood. Sarah knew that she had to act fast, or someone was going to get hurt. She tried to talk to Lilith, but Lilith was beyond reason. She was consumed by her anger and her hatred, and she was determined to make everyone pay for what had happened to her. Sarah had no choice but to draw her weapon, and she started to move in. Lilith saw Sarah coming and started to panic. She grabbed a knife from the gas station counter and started to wave it around. Sarah tried to talk her down, but Lilith was too far gone. Sarah had to act fast, and she fired her weapon. Lilith fell to the ground, and the gas station attendant was finally able to escape. Sarah was relieved that it was over, but she was also heartbroken. Lilith had been a victim of circumstance, and she had been driven to madness by her husband's abuse and the police's neglect. Sarah knew that Lilith had needed help, but she had never gotten it. She was just another tragic story in a city full of them. Sarah took a few days off to try and recover from the stress of the case. She needed time to think and to process everything that had happened. When she returned to work, she was greeted with a hero's welcome. She had brought down one of the city's most dangerous killers, and she had saved countless lives in the process. But Sarah wasn't feeling like a hero. She was still haunted by the image of Lilith, and she couldn't shake the feeling that she could have done more. She had always believed that she could make a difference in the world, but now she wasn't so sure. The city was starting to get back to normal, but Sarah was still struggling. She was trying to move on from the case, but she couldn't shake the feeling that she had failed Lilith. She had always wanted to make a difference, but now she was starting to realize that the world was a complicated place, and that sometimes there was no right answer. Sarah started to question everything she had ever believed in. She started to wonder if she was cut out for the job, and if she was really making a difference in the world. She was lost and confused, and she didn't know what to do next. But then she received a call from Lilith's sister. Lilith's sister was a young woman who had always looked up to Sarah, and she was calling to thank her for what she had done. She told Sarah that Lilith had always talked about her, and that she was the reason she had joined the police force in the first place. Lilith's sister told Sarah that Lilith would have been proud of her, and that she had saved countless lives by stopping her. She also told Sarah that Lilith would have wanted her to keep fighting for justice, no matter what. Sarah was touched by Lilith's sister's words, and she was starting to feel like a hero again. She realized that she had made a difference in the world, and that she was making a difference every day. She also realized that she was exactly where she was meant to be, and that she had a purpose in life. And that concludes the story. We hope you loved it. If you did, hit that like and subscribe button, and don't forget to leave us a comment on your thoughts of the story. Your feedback is appreciated. Thank you for tuning into Synthetic Tales, the AI storyteller. See you soon with another story.